my name is Z. I am a third year medical student at BSMS, and this week I'm going to be taking you along with me. Just a little bit of introduction. I am 26 years old and I am in my third year of medical school, and I am a grad matured student. My first degree was in nursing. So I'm just going to be showing you what a week looks like in my life as a medical student at BSMS. So let's go! I got in my car and drove to the med school, which was about 25 minutes from where I live. When I got to the med school, I went straight to the library. As a BSMS student, we have access to several libraries, which includes the Sussex Library, the University of Brighton Library, and several hospital libraries. This morning, I had a couple of lectures, which were all online via Teams. I had a research lecture on research quality, and then I had an endocrinology lecture on the renin-angiotensin-aldosterone system, Cohen syndrome. We covered pheochromocytoma, and then finally covered hypertension, but it was all very interesting. Most of these topics we've already covered in second year, so it just felt like a bit of a revision, but it was amazing session. This afternoon we had interprofessional education, which is where we medical students and pharmacy students come together, work as a team to solve a clinical problem. This is a very useful session as it helps us to explore the role of pharmacists in provision of care to patients and also develop an awareness of collaborative working. After the session, I went into one of the quiet rooms to get some work done. I put some of today's lectures into a flashcard, did some revision, and I went home. Good morning. It's currently 5:45 in the morning, and I'm about to start my day. I'm in placement in Hastings, which is about an hour to an hour and a half drive from Brighton. So I have about an hour to get ready to leave home just before 7, so that I can make it to Hastings by 8 o'clock or half 8, so I can be on the ward on time before my 9 a.m. ward round. So let's go. I've arrived at the hospital now, and this is me just walking towards the ward. I've had to change into scrubs because I had to see a procedure in endoscopy. I'm currently on a GI rotation, and this morning I attended a GI ward round, which was basically seeing several GI patients with the consultants. The ward round was really useful in consolidating my classroom knowledge of many GI conditions. I also had the opportunity to take a history from a patient with pancreatitis and perform an abdominal examination. And then I had a mini case session where I had to present one of the cases I'd seen on the GI ward and to the junior doctors. Then I went home to my hospital accommodation. So I'm currently on a regional placement in Hastings. I live in Brighton, and the medical school provided an accommodation, which is where I stay from Tuesday to Friday. The accommodation is actually so lovely. Like, my favorite thing about the accommodation is the view. Oh my goodness, the sea view. I sit here and revise every evening, and this is the most relaxing view. Later in the evening, I went out to eat with some of my classmates, which was an excellent way to de-stress. It's Wednesday morning today. I was meant to be in theatre this morning, but I was diverted to the cath lab because there was a pacemaker implantation for me to watch. And then I went to a cardiology teaching session organised by one of the hospital teaching fellows. The session was about 2 hours long, but it was really useful. In every rotation, we do get teaching sessions by the teaching fellows about 2 to 3 times a week, which is amazing. And then I attended a grand round, and they were giving out free lunch. Of course, I grabbed some. In a grand round, doctors come together to discuss clinical cases. I always find them to be quite useful. In the afternoon, we had a catheterization session where we basically practiced how to catheterize a male and a female patient. Then I went for a walk by the seaside with some of my friends. The view was phenomenal, and it was refreshing, just distracting my mind from medicine for a while and just socializing with other people. Socializing and peer support is so important on this course. Honestly, I can't recommend it enough. And then I went to the library and did about 2 hours of revision. And then I went to the gym, and that was the end of my day.
It's Thursday morning now, and this is just me walking to the ward because I have a couple of issues and examinations to sign off. In third year, we do need to get a couple of examinations and histories signed off, which includes the cardiovascular exam, respiratory exam, and GI, and a couple of others. And you just need to go on the ward to find one of the senior doctors, F2 and above, I think, to just watch you perform the procedure and just sign your pad that you're competent in performing those examinations and skills. After that, I was so tired and went to the cafe to get something to eat. And then I attended an endocrinology clinic, which was just mainly seeing patients with thyroid problems, thyrotoxicosis, Graves' disease. After that, I attended a simulation focused on the AT assessment of an acutely unwell patient and how to essentially manage a patient in an acute situation. When I got home, I rested for a bit, spent some time on the phone with my family, and then I did some revision. I also did some work on my CBD. At the end of every term, we do have a case-based assessment called CBD, where we have to present one of the cases that we've seen on the wards. So here's just me putting together all the information I'd gathered about my case. And I finished this nice and early. I went to bed just before 8 o'clock. It is Friday today. I am on the ward, just finished the ward round, and just going to be helping out on the ward, just doing some ward work. As a med student, I love spending some time on the ward and just helping out because that's how I learn. I tend to help out with cannulas, catheters, basic observations, and just basic skills that I'm competent at performing because practice makes perfect, right? And then I attended a teaching session on blood test interpretation, which was really useful. After the teaching session, I went straight to my massage appointment. It was an amazing way to end such a busy week and really just de-stress.
And that brings us to the end of my week in the life. Thank you so much for watching. I am so happy to have taken you guys along with me this week. I hope you've been able to get some insight into what third year at BSMS is like. So we basically, as you've seen in the videos, on Mondays we do normally have lectures, and then Tuesday to Friday we have a range of clinical activities going on, from ward round to clinics to teaching to clinical skills. Usually quite full on but also enjoyable. Thank you everyone. Bye.